You sit down to rest. And within minutes, something in your chest tightens. Not because anything is wrong, just because you're still. You tell yourself you'll relax in a minute, but the minute never comes. Instead, you find a dish to wash, a message to answer, a tab to check, anything, so the stillness doesn't have to sit there, unfinished. You don't even notice it as guilt at first. It just feels like a low hum of not enough. But if you slow down and listen to it, it says something specific. It says, you haven't earned this. And the question worth asking isn't, how do I relax more? It's this: why does your own body treat rest like a debt you haven't paid off? Think about the last time you did nothing on purpose. No phone, no task, no background noise to justify the pause. For most people, that lasts about 90 seconds before the mind starts building a case against itself. You should be doing something useful. Other people are further ahead right now. This is how you fall behind. Notice, none of these thoughts are about the rest itself. They're about your worth while resting. This shows up everywhere. You cancel a slow Sunday because it feels lazy. You feel a flicker of shame watching a show without multitasking. You measure vacations by how productive they were, as if relaxation needs a receipt. Over time, this quietly reshapes your identity. You stop asking, what do I need right now? You start asking, what have I produced today? And your relationships absorb it too. You struggle to enjoy time with people unless you're also accomplishing something during it. You feel restless around people who rest easily, almost irritated, though you can't say why. There's a name for what's underneath this. It's not laziness. It's not a discipline problem. It's a pattern psychologists associate with something called contingent self-worth, where your sense of value depends entirely on output. And like most patterns that run this deep, it didn't start with you. Here's the part worth sitting with. This isn't a character flaw. It's an adaptation. If you grew up in an environment where love, attention, or approval showed up mainly after achievement, a good grade, a finished chore, a quiet, helpful version of you, your nervous system learned something useful at the time. It learned, stillness is risky. Output is safe. That wasn't a flaw in your thinking. It was an accurate read of your environment. A child doesn't reason abstractly about self-worth. A child pattern matches. This behavior gets warmth, this behavior gets distance. So the drive to constantly do wasn't built to punish you. It was built to protect you, to keep you connected to people whose approval you depended on to survive. The problem isn't that this system existed. The problem is that it's still running, years later, in a life where it's no longer needed. Which raises the real question. If this was learned, on a nervous system level, how exactly does the brain keep enforcing it, even when you know better? Your brain doesn't just store memories as facts. It stores them as threat maps, associations between situations and safety or danger. If stillness was repeatedly paired with disapproval, distance, or unmet need in childhood, your brain quietly filed rest under a folder labeled unsafe. Not consciously. You won't find that sentence anywhere in your thoughts. But your amygdala, the brain's early warning system, doesn't need a sentence. It just needs a pattern. So decades later, the moment your body slows down, that old alarm reactivates. Not because rest is actually dangerous now, but because your nervous system is still referencing an outdated map. Here's a simple mental model to hold on to. Think of your nervous system like a smoke detector installed in a childhood kitchen where the stove used to malfunction. Even after you move into a brand new home with a perfectly good stove, the detector still goes off at the smallest wisp of steam. It's not broken. It's just calibrated to a kitchen that no longer exists. That's guilt during rest. Not evidence you're doing something wrong. Evidence of an alarm still tuned to an old, outdated threat. And once you see it that way, the goal isn't to silence the alarm through willpower. The goal is to slowly recalibrate what your nervous system considers safe. Which brings us to how. Step 1. Name the guilt instead of obeying it. What to do when guilt shows up during rest, pause, and say internally, this is an old alarm, not new information. Why it works. Labeling an emotion activates the prefrontal cortex, which reduces activity in the amygdala, a process researchers call affect labeling. It interrupts automatic reaction with conscious observation. Example, you sit down to watch something and the itch to do something productive appears. Instead of acting on it, you simply notice it. There's the alarm again. Often, naming it is enough to loosen its grip. Step 2. Rebuild rest as a scheduled, non-negotiable input, not a reward. What to do Place rest on your calendar the same way you place a meeting, before the day fills up, not after. Why it works: this bypasses decision fatigue, the mental depletion that happens after repeated choices. If rest depends on earning it at day's end, there's rarely energy left to choose it. Pre-deciding removes that battle entirely. Example: instead of "I'll rest if I finish everything," you write 6 to 6:30 p.m. Rest, at the start of the day, treated with the same seriousness as a work call. Step 3. Practice microdoses of unproductive stillness. What to do: sit quietly for 2 minutes with no phone, no task, no goal. Just twice a day. Why it works: this uses a principle from exposure-based learning, the same mechanism used to treat fears. Small, repeated, safe exposure to a feared state, stillness, gradually teaches the nervous system that nothing bad happens. Over time, the threat response weakens. Example: 2 minutes on the porch, doing nothing, no headphones. Uncomfortable at first. Gradually, less so. Step 4. Separate your identity from your output. In language. What to do: replace "I got so much done today" as your only marker of a good day with "I took care of myself today." Why it works: this targets self-concept clarity, how you define who you are. When identity is built entirely on achievement, rest feels like erasing yourself. Widening the definition gives rest a place inside your identity instead of outside it. Example: at the end of the day, instead of listing tasks completed, name one way you supported your own well-being, even something as small as eating a real meal slowly. Step 5. Notice who taught you rest was dangerous, and update the source. What to do: bring to mind, briefly, where this belief may have come from, not to blame, but to locate it outside of just who I am. Why it works: this uses cognitive reappraisal, reframing a belief by understanding its origin. Beliefs formed in childhood often feel like permanent truths simply because they're old, not because they're accurate. Example: you remember that rest was rarely modeled at home, everyone was always doing. You realize this wasn't a rule about you. It was a pattern you absorbed. Guilt during rest isn't a verdict on your character. It's an old alarm, installed for a good reason, in a home you no longer live in. Every time you rest anyway, even briefly, even uncomfortably, you're not being lazy. You're gently telling your nervous system, "This house is safe now." You don't have to fight the alarm. You just have to keep proving, quietly and repeatedly, that the fire it's warning you about isn't actually there. You were never meant to earn your right to exist through output. Somewhere along the way, stillness got mistaken for danger. But rest was never the threat. It was only ever a memory, mistaking the present for the past. And the next time you sit in silence and feel that old tug of guilt, you don't have to obey it. You only have to notice it, let it pass through, and stay seated anyway. That's not laziness. That's the beginning of rewriting what safety means. If this video made you think differently, subscribe to Think Unordinary, share your perspective in the comments, and join a growing community exploring psychology, philosophy, and self-mastery. That's all for today. Until next time, keep thinking beyond the ordinary.